kill me, but you will never destroy me. It takes strength to resist the dark side.
Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one.
Are you kidding? Why the hell should I wait for you?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.
If you're having nightmares, then welcome to the club. My name's Subaru Natsuki, and I am the Knight of Amelia.
Right now, all I can give you is just death.
It wasn't for you in particular.
You fought 100 men because it's not in your nature to run away.
If you are feeling disheartened, that you are somehow not enough, set your heart ablaze.
Cheers and welcome to yet another Saturday night covering anime news, bad takes, general human stupidity, all the things we love to laugh about. A little dark there. And not the racial kind. Tonight is going to be a clustercluck because nothing really big came out, but I found a lot of really stupid people on the internet. So I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about stupid people. But before that, I mean, there is kind of the weekly recap of what's happened, what I've watched, what I've gotten into. So I haven't mentioned it yet. I don't think I got it. I can't remember whether this came in last week or the week before. I got this recently, and I still haven't cracked it open and read it yet, but the artwork looks good, and I am pretty excited to have some time tomorrow to just sit around, do nothing, and read and catch up. I did some of my anime catch up this week. I didn't get to go through the whole list, so I do have some things to move around. But I did make it a point that after I got the Endeavor video out on my main channel, by the way, go check it out. After I got that all taken care of, I sat down and actually watched some anime. And I tried to watch Caped Crusader, but like half of the second episode through, I don't even remember what was going on. I'm just like, why am I torturing myself like this? Like the Suicide Squad Isekai was more enjoyable than this. Why am I doing this? But that aside, I did get some other like anime and stuff related stuff. So I went and I got myself a copy of Perfect Blue. It's like a psychological horror anime about this actor or actress struggling with a stalker, and it drives her insane. And then, of course, because I am ultra weeb, I went and I got Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2. I did those things. Also, another thing I went and got, because they're on sale, ReZero. So I got 23, 24, and 25. Hopefully, that wraps up Arc 6. And I want to try and get through those as soon as humanly possible. Because, well, ReZero Season 3 is coming out, and I'm really excited about that. Because it's one of my favorite anime of all time. But on a final note for that, I went and did myself a favor. Because these were also on sale. And I went, oh, that's the wrong side. I got myself Monster, which is basically like a serial killer story. It's widely regarded as one of the best manga you can find out there. It's very, very highly rated. I've been curious about it. The villain, Johan, gets a lot of attention on the internet. Because, well, serial killer and such. But yeah, that's what I went out and acquired this week. I don't know if the comic shop is open tomorrow, so probably won't do any of that anytime soon. Kind of going into a busy point Hey JM, how you doing? And thanks. Yes, I appreciate that a lot of people seem to really like those videos because I wanted to do something more like essay focused, more like writing oriented, a little bit more like focused on critical thinking and like not critical thinking, I think that's the wrong word, but more focused on like detailed analysis of like character and stuff, moving a little bit more away from the reviews and getting into the more of the stuff that I actually do really like doing, the sort of like in-depth character and story analysis, like meaning, writing, all that kind of stuff. That's what I really like to do. So with the Endeavor video, with the Mushoku Tensei video, I've really liked those. In the near future, the next one I do plan on working on is the trial of Rudius Greyrat. Actually, like going in detail to talk about like everything he's supposedly accused of. And I've been reading the first volume of Mushoku Tensei. I'm almost done with it actually, to like clarify what the light novel has to say about the character. And I found some very, very interesting points on that regard, and not things that I expected to find. That said, after that, probably some romance hot takes, and well, we'll go from there. But with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's anime tier stuff. So, this is where we left off last week, kind of. I added a new, I split the dropped category. So there's dropped because it's boring, and there's dropped because it's bad, all the way at the bottom, which is right now just plus size elf. I don't care about these. So we're going to shift some things around here for this. And I have notes on what I've watched and what I did and didn't like that I got to pull up here. I got to remember. Okay, so Suicide Squad dropped. Boring. It's really only good for the Flash, nothing else. Like, the story is mid, the writing is a waste of Tape Nagatsuki's talent. Really, all it's got going for it is some like flashy choreography that I do like to see, but it's not a very pleasurable show to watch. Next, I put Quality Assurance up in very good, but I'm going to bring it back down a little bit, back down to earth a little bit. The past couple of episodes definitely were interesting, so I wouldn't say it's just okay or that it's going to get dropped or anything, but it isn't in the same category as some of these other ones. But they have taken a very interesting turn with it. I thought they were going to turn their whole battle against the other debuggers into like a whole like story-wide arc. No, they have already solved that issue, which is interesting because now they're getting into like, how do we log out of the game? That's the next big thing to go on there. So it's still good, still good. I'm going to move Geechee Harem down one because honestly, as sweet, like as diabetic as it is, cheers, by the way. As diabetic and entertaining as it is, the characters are shallow and so is the story. It is the epitome of all progression, no character development, which other romance series this season have done really well. Makeine, fantastic. Lots of storytelling, lots of character development. You might not see anything happening between like the main couple, so to speak, but with everything else that's happening in the plot, it's never boring. It's never not funny. There's always something to laugh at. All the characters are fantastically written. Animation is constantly peak. I love the art style, the look of it, the music. It is like 10 out of 10 anime. And I do not give 10 out of 10s very easily. There are only 2 anime that have gotten 10 out of 10 other than this. And that is Frieren and Attack on Titan Season 1. Those are the only other the only two other anime that I think are absolutely flawless. And right now, this one's sitting there. Oshinoko, I'm still a few episodes behind on Oshinoko, but I have really liked what they're doing with it. Like the character development, getting into the whole acting business and like the show business side of like manga adaptation. Very cool. It's still just barely beating out Alya-san, which there's been a lot of discourse over Yuki and the incest parts of it. Honestly, I don't know how people interpret it as anything other than Yuki just being a troll and trying to like ham up her affection for her brother. The idea that she like actually wants to fuck her brother, I think, is misplaced. And I know it's made a lot of people feel weird about it, but I still think it's the one of the better series to come out this season. And it kind of goes back to the whole progression versus character development argument. I like romance anime with more character development than progression, because progression doesn't mean shit to me if I don't care about the characters. Like Gigi Harem, sure, cool. They're together, but like I have seen them do nothing but be goofs the whole time, okay? It's sweet, it's endearing, it's fun, but it isn't compelling. Like it lacks that oomph that really drives a good romance series like Love is War or Horimiya. You actually get to see like ups and downs in those series and like how those characters manage those things, the way the relationships, all of that stuff. That's the like the character work is the actual entertaining part of a romance anime and manga to me. Otherwise, Shoshimin, again, staying the same. I caught up with that one. Really liked episodes 6 and 7, which I watched tonight. It's just I love the way it turns like really simple, like stupid questions into like these full episode mysteries. Like the main, like episode 7, the main character just tries to deceive this girl standing next to him into thinking that there weren't he tries to deceive her basically so that he can steal some dessert from her. It doesn't quite work. But anyway, moving on down the list, is there anything else that needs to go? There's something else. Oh, A-Tree. A-Tree I dropped because it's boring. Just like Suicide Squad. I just wasn't having it. And honestly, I feel kind of like it feels kind of weird with most of the top tiers, like the well-written stuff, being either romance or drama focused this season. I mean, we have Wistoria and we have The Elusive Samurai up here. Those are really, really good like action series. But still, as far as like the majority of the must-watch to very good stuff, a lot of it is, well, romance, comedy, drama, I guess, romance, drama, rom-com. The battlers didn't come through this season. Like everyone talks about I parry everything, but it's okay. Failure Frame is just a disaster to watch. Or it's like watching a disaster unfold pretty much. It's entertaining enough, but like it's not a good series whatsoever. Bye Bye Earth, it's way too fucking metaphorical and like not obscure. What's the word? Vague. That's the word. The brain work. Alcohol don't make brain work. Yeah. It's way too vague with everything it's doing for you to actually get invested. Like they keep throwing around these terms and like all this world building and stuff, and they don't tell you what it's supposed to mean. Like, what the heck is the Girl of Reason? Why the heck do people grow swords? And why is it such a big deal when they break? What is a soulist? Why is Belle the only human in the world? Come on. I mean, like, well, actually, that's part. The last one's part of the big mystery of the series, so maybe don't answer that one. I have not caught up with why Does Nobody Remember Me in the series, but I have a feeling that it's not going to be too particularly amazing. It may go up to entertaining when I finally decide to catch up on it. And Quality Assurance in Another Life, it's interesting concept, but I mean, all things considered, it isn't the most fantastically written or developed. But I didn't watch anything new. There hasn't really been anything that's like caught my attention that I have like had this desire to watch. So right now, this is where the tier list stands. And we will remove that from the stage as we transition over to something a little bit more news oriented. And we'll shift there. So yeah, that's pretty much how my week for entertainment and stuff has been going. So when I'm not in a mad scramble to try and find clips for the Endeavor video or whatever video I happen to be working on, I do not want Bounding into Comics to send me notifications. Sorry. I know you guys do good work. I really like. Oh, hey. Hi, Daniel. How you doing? But yeah, when I'm not in a like mad scramble to put together a video, I do enjoy sitting around and binging my stuff and reading. Well, thanks for joining. By the way, if you haven't, you should check out Daniel's book, G Said I actually really like it. Very good stuff. So we'll move on over into. So I said tonight was going to be the holy grail of human stupidity, and we're going to talk about bad takes. So why don't we talk about like the biggest bad take to come out recently? The Batman Cape Crusader showrunner Bruce Timm says the Penguin was gender swapped because one of the problems with Batman, as he is there's a lack of good villains. The disrespect on my man Two-Face. Oh, I have words for this. So we'll get into this a bit. According to showrunner Bruce Timm, the Penguin was gender swapped from for Batman Cape Crusader because both he and the series executive producer James Tucker felt the Dark Knight lacked good villains. Again, how does he lack good villains? There's plenty of them that are iconic. Like, you don't even have to go to the Joker. Like I said, Harvey Dent Two-Face is one of my favorite villains for Batman because he starts as like this good guy who wants to do the right thing. Especially if you watch like Batman the Animated Series or even read yes, I did see that part. He was specifically talking about lacking good female villains, but we'll get into that. The issue I'm facing with this is like you can go to again back to the Harvey Dent thing. Ugh, organize my thoughts here. You can go to like the Long Halloween and stuff like that. Batman has plenty of good villains. They don't have to be female villains. Okay, there are plenty of really, really good ones you can use in any sort of Batman story. I mean, the Riddler was always interesting. I mean, I kind of found him annoying, but I know some people are. The Penguin as just like a mob boss. You're starting this off like the beginning of Batman's career. Why couldn't you have just focused on like the gangs, like Thorn and Falcone? Would have been a really good like focus for the beginning of a Batman, and then you get like the Penguin moving in to sort of take over, and that's when you start introducing the Rogues Gallery, like Two-Face, as things go bad. Like it's not hard to write this whole world into like a good series. It's just people don't want to do it. So yeah, what Pilgrim said is true. I saw the original take. Bruce Timm's assertion was that Batman didn't have any good female villains, which will ignore the fact that he was we'll ignore the fact that he had a hand in creating one of the more iconic DC female characters, Harley Quinn. that was taken from the animated series and moved into like actual canon, which he absolutely destroyed in this. Catwoman. Who's the Russian lady? I forget her name. Talia al Ghul. There are plenty of like female characters who can be considered villains throughout Batman's rogues gallery that they just don't want to use. Hell, some people even brought up the fact that Orca, an obscure like Batman villainess, is a thing. They just don't use her because apparently she didn't get the same attention as like Killer Croc or something like that. So Tim, whose other additional DC animated credits include co-creating Batman, the animated series, and helping oversee the subsequent DCAU that followed, and provided this insight into his creative process when speaking to National Academy of Television Arts and Science, otherwise known colloquially as the Television Academy, regarding Batman's latest television adventure. Asked by the Academy's Christine Champagne as to why he made the choice to turn the Penguin into a woman, Tim recalled, James and I were talking about the overview of the show. And we said, one of the problems with Batman, as he is there's a lack of good villains. You've got Catwoman, you've got Poison Ivy, and you've got Harley Quinn. But how did I forget Poison Ivy? But it would be really good to have more female villains. So basically the idea of equity, not equality. And by the way, what was the purpose, other than this, what was the purpose of gender swapping the Penguin? It's not like you needed him to be Oswalda Cobblepot so that the Penguin could have children. So you have the Penguin as a man who you have the Penguin as a man who has two kids working under him as like his right and left hand. Like the gender swap changes nothing and therefore is worthless. It's pointless. It just makes you look like a fool. But it would be really okay. So, and off the top of my head, I said, we never really could figure out exactly what to do with the Penguin. What the gimmick for the Penguin would be. What if we gender flip the Penguin? You mean having a floating lounge and operating a crime syndicate wasn't good enough? Interjecting in his own recollection, the aforementioned Tucker further noted, when he said maybe we can gender flip the Penguin, I just got this flood of ideas and I was thinking of Marlene Dietrich in her tuxedo and Cabaret, the musical, and the art form of Cabaret. And I just started drawing. Maybe just use the character. Yeah. One of the things like I find absolutely baffling is Batman is like a very successful IP. And this goes for a lot of things with the way stuff goes, or with the way stuff is made. And they keep wanting to change things about it to try and put their own spin on it, and it doesn't work every fucking time. I mean, even the most successful Batman movies we have, I would say would probably be the Dark Knight trilogy, the ones that are in current memory, the most highly regarded. I know some older people out there will probably fight me over that, but the first two, they're pretty much just a general adaptation of The Long Halloween, if you really think about it. The Penguin was a merger between the mob and the masked criminal, the missing link in the evolution of Bat's villains, both gangster and villain in a way Falcone and the others couldn't be. Yeah, it's why I think like you're starting with Batman as as he's picking up his that's the wrong button. I wanted to do this. You're starting with Batman as he's picking up his career as the Batman. So like you start with him fighting Falcone and Rupert Thorne, which, a really cool thing, like Batman taking on crime, and like the city you start to see like the police force clean up as Jim Gordon comes into power there, and has it like starts like actually like rooting out bad cops as Falcone and Thorne's operations fall apart. Then you have the Penguin, who is like the transitional piece in all of that, who like sort of starts this, and you can roll into Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face. And then from there, sort of splinter out into the more eccentric members of the Rogues Gallery, like the Joker, Poison Ivy, stuff like that. Because Daniel's right. The Penguin is a good like merger of both ends of it. And to that point, it would also be like a great idea to roll in Catwoman and Two-Face into that category, because while they are sort of on the gimmicky side still, they do generally sort of lend to the more classic sort of crime that Batman's already dealing with, like the gang stuff, the crime syndicates, theft, all that kind of stuff, heists. And then when you get to the Joker, to Poison Ivy, you have people who just want to destroy things, who are criminally insane and will just do whatever. I don't see why, when you're starting a Batman IP, you can't just roll out like that, sort of like ease into a lot of like the iconic villains. So we'll bring this back up now. Oops. We'll take myself out of there. That was the mission statement for the show in general. The series EP added to do something that harkened back to the original, but flip it. I hate that. We've seen live action and animated versions of Batman on TV. Taking this statement at face value, one can only wonder if this is truly Tim's personal sentiment towards the Dark Knight's Rogue Gallery, whether or not he's even truly paid attention to the very property he's worked on. From Bane to the Riddler to Joker to even Tim's own personal creation, Harley Quinn, which we talked about earlier. Yeah, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. Batman's foes are some of the most recognizable and compelling throughout not just comic book canon, but the entirety of worldwide pop culture. However, in the interest of fairness, given Tim's history with the DCAU and the fact that he only cited Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn as examples of quality Batman villains, it's possible that the showrunner misspoke and actually meant to claim that the hero suffers from a lack of good female villains, an assertion which, while still factually absurd given the existence of such other Gotham-based villains like Talia, Lady Shiva, that's the one I was looking for. Lady Shiva. There we go. And even the Tim created Batman, the Phantasm, yeah. Do a little bit more with the Mask of the Phantasm was, I think, like my first really like resounding experience with Batman. It was like the greatest way to get into this whole series. And then from there was the DCAU and all that I grew up with. Makes slightly more sense than his presented blanket statement. Okay, so yeah, that's just the end of the article. So honestly, I have my questions. Like a lot of people are saying that Tim was just kind of like a creative public face for the series while everyone else did all the actual work, which, given the nature of what's happened with this Batman adaptation, now mind you, this is under Jar Jar Abrams' bad reboot bullshit. It could have something to do with that. I'm going to try not to get into all the pop culture nonsense that literally everyone covers, but I love Batman. He is my favorite character. It's what inspired me to, that and Star Wars is kind of what inspired me to start writing in the first place. So, yeah, as far as this goes, it kind of does seem like the rumors people were spreading about Bruce Timm. There was a hard. Oh, you talking about the one where she ties Nightwing to the bed? Is that the one you're talking about? So maybe he's just not good on his own. Yeah, that honestly could be the case. Like he might have some like really eccentric ideas that have potential. He just doesn't know how to pare them down on his own, which is, well, why having an editor is a fantastic thing, because there are a lot of other popular IPs, Naruto, that needed an editor to make things work. Trust me. Ugh. That's what, of course, that's what you were gonna say. Yeah, but like creating in an echo chamber or having like like creative input on something can be bad. Like look what happened with like the prequels when George Lucas went on his own. People will talk about how they are objectively in quality worse than the original trilogy. And I would agree, even though Revenge of the Sith is still my favorite Star Wars movie. George has weaknesses. Every writer is going to have weaknesses. And they need someone who can compensate for those weaknesses and point them out. That's why like beta reading and editors are fantastic allies to have, and why you don't fire them right as you're getting to your final arc so that you don't bring in interdimensional chakra vampires. Kishimoto! Sorry, I'm riled up. I was in a video call with a guy talking about some anime stuff earlier in the week, and one of the subjects that came up was Naruto and Boruto. So this one I don't even really need to go through. I'm just kind of going to bring this article up really quick and talk about some of the stuff that's happened with it. So apparently, while we're on the topic of like superhero cartoons, apparently Bo DeMeo is now apparently he's been accused of sexual misconduct, sending nude photos of himself to other young men. And he's supposedly trying to use his queerness as a shield because he lost his place on X-Men 97, which surprisingly enough, I've heard a lot of good things about from people. Like I heard a lot of people actually liked the show. It just didn't get the numbers to like justify making it. Which, of course, brings up the whole idea of like, well, how did things make money in previous generations? Well, one, they weren't bloated to hell, and two, they sold toys and other merchandise, which is what anime and manga does now. I mean, look at me. I watched Dragon Ball, Naruto, and then ReZero, and like I have all this stuff. Attack on Titan got me to buy a $400 Commander Erwin statue because I had to have that one scene. Advance, goddamn you! The best, my single favorite line in that whole series. Oh no, the aluminum hat's coming out, huh? Well, this is the point at which I start like rolling through the the random topics that I've compiled and all of the bad takes. He was fired a while ago. No reason given, huh? Interesting. All right. So we'll get back to whatever Pilgrim's going to I don't like where that's going. So this one kind of caused some stuff on the internet. So it's like a, I don't know, ecchi light novel, something like that. But the title in and of itself, New Latina rom-com, The Dark Brown Latina Girl is Aiming for My Body, light novel by Kiraku Kishima and Oreo. A youth rom-com about an ordinary high school boy helping out a foreign Latina girl in trouble. Grateful, this super cheerful girl suddenly wants to marry him and have his children. So this pull that down, caused some interesting dialogue, and it was very funny to watch, like the people on Twitter go down bad over this. Comments like, my racism is disappearing. Or like, all of the pro border wall people are going to be reading this light novel. And look, I'm not like strictly opposed. I gotta change this light up here a little bit because I'm still kind of. Oh no! Shit! There we go. Oh, I still have the Sasha PFP, huh? Ah, it's got my freaking integrated camera. My jank ass setup. There we go. At least they didn't call us Latinx. Yeah, there's that. The writer has a fetish for sure. Nagatoro ended and someone said, what if she was brown? Great. And look, I don't have a problem with horny in writing, okay? But I've said this before. My issue is you have to offer me something that is more than just the horny. I can get past like in a Game of Thrones situation. I'm more interested in the story of Game of Thrones than I am in any of the horny scenes, okay? Or like Jobless Reincarnation, I'm more interested in like the characters, the world, what's going on, the whole story of it, than I am in any sort of scene where sexy things happen. Which during the Elena Lease moments, yeah, it can be pretty interesting. Either way, I don't subscribe to just the like kitty manga stuff. I don't get into that. It's not interesting to me to just have someone flash some tits onto a piece of paper. Like, I want a story. I don't want porn. So if this actually happens to have good character development and an interesting story, maybe I actually will read it. But if it's just going to be smut for the sake of smut, it'll be what it'll be. So I guess this is the point at which I find some topics to talk about. Oh, this one will work. So I mentioned that I got that Attack on Titan. I stopped sharing instead of changing over. I'm stupid. So Attack on Titan, the final chapter, the last attack, bro. If I had such a laugh, or like when Attack on Titan, the final season, part 3, part 2 came out, and now we're looking at the final season, part 3, part 2, version 2, theatrical director's cut. Which I do hope this comes over to the States and like is released in theaters, because I really did like this whole part of the series. I know Attack on Titan's ending is like brought a lot of controversy, because some people call it nihilistic. Some people said it was stupid, or Eren was dumb. First of all, Eren Yeager was never portrayed as a smart person to begin with. Him being dumb is kind of like an integral part of his character. And nihilistic, I view it more as tragic than anything. Like nihilistic would say that there was no point in any of this, which there certainly was, and I always like to bring up, I view it through the lens of, if you've ever heard of the movie All's Quiet on the Western Front. I really love that war movie. It kind of captures like how absolutely hellish the battlefields of World War One were. And it all takes the point of view of German soldiers from World War One and like trench warfare and all the stuff and like all the insanity that world was. What was the point again of what Aaron Yeager did? To try and save his friends. Basically, the idea, the principle behind it was he wanted everyone close to him to live long, happy lives without having to fear war. So he basically became the worst imaginable human being. So I think, yeah. If you don't like the ending, I'm not going to try and change your mind. Your opinion is your opinion. But I did like Attack on Titan. Either way, All Quiet on the Western Front, I kind of viewed it in the same way as that. A lot of people, just a lot of senseless killing that should have been avoided but didn't because of human nature. Especially the ending of All's Quiet on the Western Front, the final charge there, where like they don't surrender until a certain time. So like their major or their general or whatever decides that they're going to charge the lines one last time because they got an hour of war left, and he wants to like. It's good anime, but that's not a plot. That's all. Yeah, either way, I think it's hilarious that it got turned into like this really, really drawn out series of events that the series got drawn into all these different parts, and the title just kept getting longer, and now they have The Last Attack. They're promising an animation upscaling, which, if that means they're getting rid of the 3D Titans, that would actually be really cool. Because that 3D CGI stuff that they did in season 4 was not very good. All right. Let's move into some of the yeah. Let's bring in some of the stupidity for tonight. So, oh boy, I sure do love these media. Story with queer, anti-racist themes with lessons of love and equality. Calling the person who likes them racist, fascist, homophobic. So let's just break this down for a second. First of all, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure literally has World War II German soldiers siding with the good guys to fight evil vampires. So I don't know where you're getting anti-fascist, anti-racist from this. Xenoblade Chronicles. I'm pretty, and there's also no queer stuff in there. Xenoblade Chronicles. JoJo's is fucking weird. Yeah, it's entertaining for the weirdness, but I would by no means call it a good series. Xenoblade Chronicles, doesn't it end with this dude having 3 wives? I don't know how it actually goes. I just see a lot of people post pictures because it triggers obsessed pieces of fandom. And then My Hero Academia. Again, I don't think there's any queer stuff going on in there. Anti-racist, maybe. Lesson of love and equality. I mean, if you call Punch Quirk Satan in the face until he's gone, love and equality, maybe. But like, I always love when people will like completely misinterpret the themes of some of these series. Like, yeah, as far as like the inequality or like the anti-racist stuff, there is that whole thing about the heteromorphics in this series not being treated equally because they look different. And there's another post that I will get into. Maybe I should bring that up because it would be a relevant thing to talk about next. But there's this whole thing about the heteromorphics being treated differently because of their quirks and the way they look. People don't treat them the same as like a normal person. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Here's the post. So, spoiler warning, just by the way. So, here we go. So, here is Shoji and Spinner in a matchup. So Horikoshi never beaten the racism allegations. Love it when he tells his readers that the way to beat racism is not to not do anything about it because it can magically get fixed. And rioting is bad because he says so. Well, first of all, if you want to talk about the summer of love, yeah, okay, I will get controversial. Maybe don't smash in the windows of businesses that have nothing to do with your protest. I don't care about your protests and riots so long as you're taking up your beef with the people who you actually have a problem with. Okay? But when you start getting people who are not involved in it, some innocent people, bystanders, all that kind of stuff, that's where I don't side with you. And basically what's happened here is Spinner is leading an army against a hospital. He wants to destroy a hospital with innocent people who are getting treated. And Shoji here is trying to stop him. And he's pointing out that Spinner is becoming the exact thing that society thinks heteromorphics are. These crazy, violent, dangerous types. It's hilarious. And it kind of goes into this thing where like people want to use victimization as a means to justify victimizing other people. There's some like spiteful part of humanity that really, really wants to sorry, clearing messages. There's a spiteful part of humanity that just like loves the idea of, well, I was hurt, therefore I'm going to hurt other people. It's the eye for an eye mentality. And now, depending on what values you're raised with, whether you're, you were raised in a Christian home or not, or whatever, that generally goes against the common morality of the West. Like it goes against mercy, which was made a virtue here, and it wasn't before the advent of Christianity. The idea of like, and at what point do you not understand, like, I was hurt, maybe I shouldn't do those things to other people because they hurt? Why does that all of a sudden make you justified to go out and unleash your violent tendencies against society at large? So, like I said, stupidity. The idea that Horikoshi is racist because he said maybe don't blow up hospitals to protest racism. Yeah, that's stupid. Get rid of that. How about this one? Let's go here. So, now that my hero is over, I feel like I can finally speak my truth. Fuck that term, my truth, by the way. While the premise is amazing, this ultimately was a mid-series written by an author with an extreme case of toxic positivity. And I'm guessing this is because Deku didn't hold a grudge against Bakugo for all the bullying and basically Bakugo being a piece of shit. But this is kind of one of the things that Horikoshi seems to have as a theme throughout the entirety of his series, is focusing on the light aspects of characters and of the world rather than on the negative, the dark aspects of his world. And I just did a whole video talking kind of about this, about how people expect Endeavor to burn in the pits of hell because he fucked up, he did some awful things, and he wants to atone for them. Never mind the fact that he basically can't live unassisted now, like he's in a wheelchair at the end of the story. Never mind the fact that he clearly regrets what he did and offers to like keep himself away from his family because he knows that it's painful for them to be around him. And the same kind of goes for Bakugo. Bakugo does come to recognize that, like, yeah, I was an awful person to this guy who only ever tried to help me. I should apologize. I should, maybe be a little nicer to him. Yeah. Well, and it kind of loops into what I'm talking about is people really just want to focus on that brutal and unforgiving part of the world. And they wonder why it's brutal and unforgiving when they won't try to be the positive change in it. They won't try to do things differently. They won't try to distance themselves from the violence, the chaos, and the unforgiveness. They just want to focus on it because it affected them. Well, now everyone else has to suffer. And because Bakugo was a bully, he has to suffer. Now, I will be honest, I did not understand the obsession with Bakugo. Everyone was like head over heels with Bakugo, and I was like, it's kind of a dick, an annoying one at that. Like, is that a terrible character? I think he's cool, but he's a real dick. And then in season 6, during the Vigilante arc, he sort of gets his redemption. I've been wrong, now I'll make it everyone else's problem. Exactly. People need to chill out and realize that maybe sometimes being forgiving, being the bigger person, and just not perpetuating that cycle of making your pain everyone else's problems is the way to go, because it doesn't solve anything. But yeah, that was that stupidity. Let's get rid of that. Toxic positivity. Jeez. Toxic positivity. Ooh, let's do this one. Because this is kind of, I'm just segueing off of everything, because this is probably the, so Packer Girl does really good coverage of all the localizer stuff. I've used a lot of her articles and tweets when talking about the localizer stuff. Definitely check her out. I think she has a channel where she does like manga reads and stuff like that. Either way. So this is from Yahagi Kosuke, the editor at Weekly Shonen Jump. And he does not have a high opinion of Western manga fans. We've been reading manga for a long time, so we tend to read deeper into what makes manga interesting. But many people overseas don't understand Japanese manga. I think that's probably because they don't have literacy or reading comprehension. So ultimately, I think that Naruto doesn't require that kind of reading comprehension. So we'll set aside the Naruto fact and the Naruto part. And I think it's kind of true, because a lot of people like really, really miss points of like what's going on in the series. My last 2 videos have kind of been along those lines, talking about how like stuff like Jobless Reincarnation, ReZero, or even Endeavor from My Hero Academia, like Western fans like severely misinterpret everything that goes on there. They miss the point that like in Jobless Reincarnation, Rudy is supposed to be scum. Rifujin Namaganote literally said, I made Rudy very controversial on purpose, because his growth and later maturity, where he moves away from a lot of the stuff that he does in his early years, is much more significant that way. You take someone who's scum and you turn them into like a upstanding, loving father and husband. It's a better written story than if you just make a good guy. Like you actually watch someone struggle with their own issues and all that. And I've gotten into it over like, well, who would fans be more happy if Rudy was a serial killer in his previous life? To some extent. But again, back to like the Endeavor to the My Hero stuff, a lot of people like to project real world sensibilities and their own pain onto these things. And particularly with the racism thing. people like to just sort of pretend like, I don't know, like being violent is definitely going to fix how racists see you. But yeah, I generally try to stay away from like the reading comprehension and there's probably some stuff in here along the reading comprehension line. Don't need that. Maybe skip that for now. We've already covered that and that. That'll stay for later. Oh, what was that? Oh, shit. It was right there. Dang it. That's just mock. Okay. But to sort of bring up what I'm talking about while I try and find it. Okay, I find right as I say that I find it. Let's go here to Scratch Point. So, who's familiar with Delicious in Dungeon? One of my favorite fantasy anime to come out this year. It's a fantastic series, but there are so many misconceptions that happened around this. So, Anime News Network tried their darndest to bait Dungeon Meshi creator Ryoko Kui, into affirming the worst parts of the Western anime manga fan base for social media points in their newest interview, and were rightfully denied at every turn. So, these are actually shots of what went down in this interview. In both the anime and the manga adaptations, most of the series' fan service comes from peeks at Senshi's underwear. In the spirit of this, could you describe Senshi's sex appeal? Kui? So the term fan service really it feels a little off to me, but I have seen people talking about Senshi's sex appeal. Like, this is a hairy fucking dwarf. What are you weirdos into? And I'll get into some of like the deeper lore of the fan base on this one in a bit, but I want to get through these. The reason I came up with this idea of showing Senshi in his underwear is that when I was little, I used to live in a city where there was an old man hanging his laundry. Okay. It was awkward for me, and I really didn't want to look at him. But from his perspective, he really didn't care. He didn't care what other people thought. I found that vibe interesting. So Senshi is a similar type of person who really doesn't care what other people think about him. Laios is probably more like me and feels a bit awkward looking at other people in just their underwear. But I thought this vibe was really funny and interesting. That's why I drew Senshi that way. So basically, I didn't do it for fan service. I did it because he doesn't give a shit about what people think about him. That's kind of a lot of people don't understand American entertainment, let alone their country. Yeah. Let alone another country's writing. Yeah. Like everyone in Hollywood who can't write a fucking Batman story. I drink to forget. So yeah. Did you expect such a strong fan reaction to the relationship between Marcel and Fallon? By the way, Marcel, Elven Mage, Fallon, the main character, Laios' sister. Fallon basically sacrifices herself to get their entire team out of the dungeon when they're facing a dragon, and the whole story is on the premise of trying to retrieve Fallon before she's too far gone to bring back. When I draw my manga, I try to develop it differently than the fans' expectations. If I care too much about how the fans will react, I think the story might become less fun or interesting. So I try not to think much about how readers will react. In general, I'll just leave the reader's imagination, like how they react or how they conceive my manga. Basically, there is a huge part of the Dungeon Meshi fandom that is absolutely obsessed with shipping two lesbians, supposed lesbians, which, by the way, from what I've heard of the manga, and I'm going to watch the rest of this when season 2 comes out, there's no romance whatsoever. It's just something that the fans entirely put in their head because they can't. It's a C.S. Lewis quote, but they can't distinguish between friendship and erotic love. So it's, again, one of the things that happens with the fucking My Hero fandom where like people will just take two characters who seem like really close friends and be like, oh, they're homosexuals now. I'm not sure that's how that works, but okay. And it became particularly toxic because if anyone disagreed with this ship, the shippers would then get really, really aggressive online. Which makes me glad that I almost never interact with any fandom on the internet. Because the more I see of it, the more I realize anime fans are psychos. And I get it, I'm one. I even said that much on Wednesday on a live stream. Yeah, quote unquote queer coding. All right. And now for the last one that I legitimately thought was a meme. Okay. I legitimately thought this was just a meme. A lot of fans had a strong reaction to Laios and Toshiro's confrontation with one another. Quite a few fans on social media seemed to relate to Laios' difficulty with reading social cues and related it to their own experience on the autism spectrum. Did you envision Laios as autistic when conceiving his character? How would you describe the friction between Laios and Toshiro? So I thought this was just like a meme made by the fandom, the autistic Laios thing, because wrong thing. He's not particularly skilled as like a warrior or anything, but he has this like encyclopedic knowledge of like every monster they encounter, so he always knows how to deal with them. Basically, he is the knowledge is my weapon kind of person. So Kui. So my understanding is Laios is a really normal person. There's nothing special, and everyone can relate to a person like him. Excuse me. I also relate to him, so I don't think I'm writing anything special regarding Laios. That's why I think people can relate to or appreciate him. Some people might say Laios is a bit autistic, but Shuro has his own difficulties. Everyone has their individual problems. It's not just Laios or Shuro. The problems are mutual. We always need to try to understand and learn from each other. Sometimes you might hurt another person, but that's the process we need to understand. That's the process we need to understand other people. Basically, to sum it up, like the post said, the Anime News Network, which they're a bunch of tourists, by the way. They don't actually care about anime. They're kind of like the SJWs, took over everything else. They came in and they tried to bait this author into confirming a bunch of stuff that the fan base supported, which the author did not. They just kind of deflected it away and been like, well, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, look, the Dungeon Meshi fandom is weird. And these are probably all people who would get really, really upset with you if you made a nice, voluptuous woman in a comic. They would get upset with you if you didn't confirm their ship. Like a lot of people were pissed at the end of My Hero Academia because it didn't confirm any ships. Seriously. Ooh, this is a good one. This is a very good one as long as we're talking about shipping and reading too much into everything that's going on here. Add this to the stage. So, since I brought up tourists, let's talk about what a tourist is. A tourist is someone who comes into a fandom. Bring myself up, make myself big. A tourist is someone who comes into a fandom and starts demanding changes to things that were never a problem, pretty much. Tourism of an IP is effectively the idea that, like, well, I don't like it, therefore it should change to fit me. It's kind of a narcissistic mindset when it comes to entertainment. That's what you see a lot of people like Star Wars should be for everyone, Marvel, DC, yada yada should be for everyone. That's where a lot of this stuff comes from. People who don't actually understand the source material. So, to bring the post back up, the real anime tourists are the not good guys, lolicons, LGBT phobes who will never see anime as nothing more than a toy, something to play with while they have fun with it, and only know the popular stuff plus lowly bait garbage, using anime as a weapon against people to spread hatred. They will never be able to evaluate anime seriously, criticize them, offering any meaningful analysis. Now, not now, not in a million years. They're the same ones who would have bullied you for watching anime a few years ago. No, this is the kind of person who probably would have bullied you for watching anime a few years ago. And why is that? Because anime has kind of always had some of these themes. Like you can go back to Sailor Moon. There's lesbians in Sailor Moon. And there's been all sorts of themes in anime throughout all time, okay? No one's ever had a problem with them. The issue is that people came in and started demanding that they be a part of it. They demanded that they be a part of the fandom, that they be represented by the anime, and they started berating anyone who didn't agree with their takes on anime, like such and such is gay or such and such is autistic and all that stuff. That's actually tourist behavior. It's the tourist conversation always just baffles me because I have to sit here and wonder added. I wanted that removed. Okay, there we go. Because I always wondered, like, how can you go into an IP and not like it, and then sit there and demand changes of the IP in order to cater to you, when the core fandom already seems to like it? Like, there's plenty of things out there, for people to like, and I think the best example of this is like the head canoning of Yamato in One Piece. Yamato is a woman. That was confirmed by Eiichiro Oda, like almost pretty blatantly. But people still seem like obsessed with the idea of like Yamato being a man because she wants to be Kazuki Odin. She's basically channeling the spirit of a man. And it's not like there aren't trans characters in manga and anime. Like I could point you to like a series that's all about a trans character. It's called Boys Run the Riot. It's an actual thing. It's like a trans fashion designer thing. But for some reason, because it's not mainstream, they're obsessed with it. They're obsessed with being part of the mainstream. And it's something that happened with Nokotan as well. Everyone is insisting that because Nokotan has these giant antlers, it breaks my brain sometimes. Makes me a little upsetty spaghetti. Take care of that. Okay. Moving on a little bit. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Speaking of the Nokotan stuff. Like, they use this whole joke about Nokotan having like these horns or these antlers because only male deer have antlers. It's an obvious gag that these people have taken as like absolute proof of their headcanon. Like, she's trans. No, it's clearly a gag. Twitter, when faced against the overwhelming power of simplistic enjoyment. Yeah, Western tourists really can't just enjoy a goofy anime without making it about their sociopolitics and forcing you to accept it. I like the series literally says, but we're just a dumb comedy anime, so don't think about it too hard. In Fushigi Yugi, there's a gay man in love with the prince who passes as a woman and doesn't bring it up unless directly asked. I appreciated that back in the day. Yeah, that's kind of the point. Like, that's one of the things like about manga and anime that's really great is all those themes can be put in here and they can actually be discussed properly with nuance and taken seriously, and not just be made into like the entire personality of a character. But we're dealing with the bottomless stupidity of the internet that is Twitter. I don't think I need to do that one. I've already done that one. Oh, remove that. Don't really need to get into that. Oh yeah, all the beef between people who want shonen to represent women better. It's always funny to see. Yeah, more butchering of ReZero's translation. It's all just more childish behavior. Yeah, pretty much. Boruto fans and Black Clover fans fighting. I don't really feel like that. Oh, let's do this one. Because I'm sure I can show this image and YouTube will be perfectly fine with me. So, back to the whole Nokotan is trans thing. Nokotan is trans, the replies. Yeah, and the manga and anime do have some great female characters, and I will set this aside for now. Oops, that was not the button I wanted to hit. Either way, it's like they're obsessed with like, well, shonen doesn't depict women in a realistic way. Well, no shit. Shonen is written to appeal to men or to young men specifically. Of course, women are going to be made to appeal to young male readers. If you want good female characters that women are going to like, maybe try these demographics called Jusei and Shoujo. But apparently it's unrealistic to depict someone like Hinata being in love with Naruto, and like Hinata's nothing to sneeze at. She's strong in her own right. But apparently, because she is not the I am independent, I can do whatever I want kind of woman that so many tourists love to obsess over. Yeah. Don't need to talk about the butchering of ReZero's translate. That one really, really pisses me off. Like, how do you take a line in ReZero that is effectively a character adopting someone and turn it into like a line that sounds like he's hitting on her? Like, how do you go from the line of, hey, Meili, if we make it out of this alive, I'd like to adopt you, and turn it into something, hey, if we make it out of this, you want to be my girl? I swear. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. My Hero Academia announcing a worldwide popularity poll when people were expecting a sequel. Kind of already covered that in weeks prior. Sorry, I'm kind of using tonight to sort of clean out my topics bin that I've been going over. Suicide. I don't know how this one is happening. Suicide Squad Isekai official webtoon announced. Like the show was not that good. Like I literally had it on my dropped list tonight. Like I moved it down to I'm not finishing this series because it's boring. Never mind, like I think that being a garbage series is the one thing that me and Draco Wrights actually agree on. Oh, yeah, there was also this one. I forgot that this happened this week. Rachel Lillis died to cancer earlier in the week. The voice of Misty and Jessie, Pokemon, and a few more. Lost a legend. I remember being obsessed with Pokemon when I was younger. Like really, really obsessed. I feel like that. Why is this bookmarked? That shouldn't be bookmarked. I think that was a mistake. Oops. A lot of VAs seem to be dying all of a sudden. You know what? We're getting to the point where I feel like being a little silly. So we're going to bring up one of the longer topics that I have stored in here because it's going to be funny. So just a little prelude. In China, you're not allowed to depict blood. So what many series will do or have to do is they have to change it to glue. Tinfoil hat time shot claims another one. Who knows? Who knows? But China's censorship makes things objectively very concerning. So, like this censorship of Chainsaw Man, that's supposed to be blood, by the way. Why white of all colors? As if the Portuguese Vegeta dub was not bad enough. As if the Portuguese Vegeta dub wasn't bad enough. Holy crap. Bro. Kira. It's even worse when you get to Kira. Zoro. Whitebeard. Nothing happened. Gintama, and like, look, you can tell they couldn't censor absolutely everything. Like, it was just too hard to censor all the blood. Itachi, no, why you do my boy Itachi like that? This one's from Tokyo Ghoul. I wish Rolo was here. He said he was gonna eat dinner and then beyond, but it's been like 40 minutes since that happened. Oh boy. No, you're. Oh boy, and that's it. But yeah, this whole thing has been it's been a trend. Like I believe this is Higurashi When They Cry. Like this one became a huge meme. Like you don't understand how fucking funny how big this game became or became across the internet at the time. All right. Let's So there's that. I'm still laughing that Makeine is keeping track of all of the calories that the main heroine has been eating across the entire series. Let's get rid of that. I talked about it earlier, so I'm not going to bring up the Alia-san trolling sister, but I will stop. I will bring up the official dub for this clip that totally changed the context of this little bit of anime. So, for context, these two are siblings.
Pull me out.
What?
Looking like I'm stuck down here. Don't make me say the step bro meme.
So, for context, this is why localizers can be such a bitch sometimes. That step bro meme thing was never in the original. It's why it's worth it to watch subs, not dubs, sometimes, because you avoid stupid shit like that. I probably shouldn't torture the ears with the gremlin speaking clip that I have here. Don't need the mocking anything. No, basically what it is to some extent the series itself does it is the younger sister has like a lot of respect for her older brother. She like idolizes him. So she makes a lot of like really, really weird comments that very like that on their face value are like, well, there's really no other way to interpret them other than straight up incestuous at times. But she has no genuine desire to actually fuck her brother. She's just trolling him to sort of ham up the fact that she actually does really admire her brother, that he is like the most important person in the world to her, and she's an utter otaku who loves some of those weird manga. So in the original, that line about the step bro meme wasn't in there, but there is a lot of stuff that kind of lends to that interpretation. Either way, it didn't need to be there, and it was, yeah. I mean, they really didn't need to add that to make it look like they were from Alabama. I mean, she literally trolls the guy with a fake story about how he accidentally grabbed her boobs in middle school. And he calls her out on her bullshit. Like, I would have remembered that story if it actually happened. She gets all frustrated over it. Like, damn it. We're gonna do this. I got another dumb clip. Someone who wants to like rage farm. Okay. Share screen. And like there legitimately is some like degenerate manga and stuff out there like that. Like the idea, like Oraimo. I don't read that stuff. I'm not a fan of it. But some people are apparently. So here we go.
Out. So this is a pretty hard list because a lot of these characters are just like pure evil. Like Fang Yuan's out here killing billions of people, feeding children to bears and burning them alive, and committing the big G word multiple times for power. For Lapis from Mushoku Tensei, he also commits the big G word like twice and almost a third time with the human world, or like the mother goddess of depravity, who is out here turning entire worlds and civilizations into mindless flesh blobs who can do nothing but just
I don't think it actually played the audio, but for context, this guy is saying if he had 3 bullets, who would he shoot?
give birth.
Honestly, if I'm thinking here, the only ones I do recognize are Capella and Lai Baten Kaitos because they both come from ReZero, and they are, well, he'll get into it, but
Or like Capella, who sees everyone besides her as just bags of meat that must be tormented, and enjoys turning people's bodies into like flies, countless frogs, or just like piles of meat. For like Amon and Mordred, both of them are basically psychopaths who like taking over people's bodies, and Amon just views everyone as playthings for his own enjoyment. For Lai, he's the one who stole Rem's name and memories, causing herself and the entire world to just forget about her, and he does this to everyone he finds potentially tasty. For Agrona, he's an evil psychopath scientist who condemned his own daughter to die and oppresses an entire continent while performing horrifying experiments on them. So if I had to choose who to take out, I'd use all 3 bullets on Rudius Skirrat.
All because of misconstrued allegations about the character and missing the entire point of said character. Yeah. So forget about genocidal maniacs, psychopaths, sadists, and all of that. Let's just take out the guy who's the pervert. That makes sense. That should be out of there. Honestly, I don't know why I saved those. It's boring. That should be out of there. That should be out of there. I've already done that. Don't really feel like doing that. Or how about this one that someone posted? Hot take, but hear me out. If you like a character who did something wrong, you should be arrested and charged with the punishment for what that character did. Because that's totally a sane take. Wait, I think I went over that last week. Don't really think that's in line with the channel, so I'm not going to cover that. ReZero character designs. Oh yeah, the whole think before you sleep thing, calling that time I got reincarnated as that time I got reincarnated as a slime, like Vor. He called ReZero a waifu simulator, and yeah, basically dude proved he had no concept of anime whatsoever. And it makes me wonder how he got to 800,000 subscribers. Like it's so bad that his post got community noted. Straight up got a community note explaining exactly what he got wrong and why he took all these things out of context, or how he took all these things out of context. It was actually kind of insane. Hilariously funny too. Sneeko being an idiot. Yeah, we know about that one. Okay, don't need that. Get rid of that. And that. Honestly, I don't think there's a ton left to cover, so I'm just going to kind of roll into some memes. And I got some funny ones tonight. So, y'all remember the Australian? There are so many retarded people who talk about shit they know nothing about and have a following. Yeah. So, y'all remember that Australian breakdancer? Someone made a meme titled, "That one friend who just button mashes and manages to beat you all the time."
Round 1. Fight!
Apparently she's been striking people for using that video, so that's a thing. Look, I know you said you wanted to show up Rolo, but I am running low on things, and it's about the hour-and-a-half mark, so like there really isn't a whole lot of like big news topics or anything to talk about. We're gonna get rid of that bookmark, and we are going to go find my memes folder and go through the stuff I found that I thought was funny. Bookmarks, okay. Memes. The ha-ha funnies. Oh, and now it's going to decide it wants to take. Your cousin hated you when you played Smash Bros. I don't blame him, honestly. Okay, let's get started. Hugh Jackman would make the perfect Prince Vegeta. I mean, that's actually not bad. Whoever did this design, it's actually pretty great. Let's pull that down because let's do this one. This one's wholesome.
Better team. Arm in arm, we'll win the fight. It's always been our dream.
Okay. Departure has got to be one of the best anime intros out there.
Just another way to survive.
Is that actually the song that goes to that series? Oh, I didn't see this part. No, it's not. Okay, that makes sense. I was about to say. The freaking Titan one gets me. The fact that he plays along with it too is the funniest part. How about this one? My mental health. The advice I give to people. I'm going crazy. Oh. This one I definitely gotta share. What am I doing with my life? You know, when it came to Pokemon music, particularly Black and White, honestly, I thought Sky Arrow Bridge and Cassilia City had the best soundtracks in that game.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
If you know what this is,
I just want to start a flame in your heart.
oh boy. New isekai-like novel title idea. I got run over by a Kurdish truck in Saitama Prefecture playing Middle Eastern music and reincarnated as a crusader. Oh, basically, Japan has this problem now with truckers being absolutely insane. And like not following the rules of the road, like Kurdish truckers over there. It's kind of crazy, actually. Also, I will never understand why people freak out so much about frogs. I mean, honestly, I would take that frog. Man, too bad Rolo's not here because he'd enjoy this meme.
I said give it back now. Noah! Larry, what the hell are you doing? Larry, you can't just... Oh, Larry. Oh, you're right.
Just Ichigo slapping all the Stern Ritter.
I said give it back now. Noah!
All right, let's move on. Oh, this one definitely takes me back to the early, to my early gaming days. Whoever made this edit, I love you. Okay. Oops. Dang it. Okay, I think it's reaching the night where my computer is deciding my crummy laptop is deciding it no longer wants to play ball because the stream has probably been running too long and I need to upgrade to a real PC. And things are starting to run real slow. So I think that's probably a good place to call it, especially since I'm just sitting here laughing by myself at memes. So if you've made it this far into it and you don't know anything else about me, you can find me on Twitter at Isaac Hendren. You can find me on my other channel on YouTube, Crimson Law. I do videos there. I try to post one every week. And I also have memberships live over there. I'm still working on rewards for the memberships and stuff. Like incentives, I guess. A couple of things that I have planned, but other than that, I don't really have a whole lot going on. And it's getting hot in here. I think that might have to do with the alcohol. I appreciate everyone who decided that they were going to show up and hang out. JM, Daniel, Great Pilgrim, all you guys chilling out and having fun, talking anime, comics, cartoons, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I think it's probably time to play us out. So, final clip of the night. Since he didn't show up, we're going to bully Rolo. So here we go.
Basically, if you don't have a penis, don't hit on me.